The galaxy had many laws, but only one law was feared by every race. It was the Treaty of Silence, signed after the Great Burning Wars. Long ago, when weapons grew too powerful, entire star systems were destroyed. Billions of lives were lost, and no one remembered who fired first. The Council of Worlds decided that no species would ever again build a warship beyond Dreadnought class. To break this law was to invite death from all sides. Every race obeyed. None dared to test it. For 100 years, Earth followed the treaty too. Humanity sent diplomats, traders, and scientists into the stars. They built colonies, research, stations, and fleets of ships that never broke the rules. But humans had something the other races never understood. They remembered every war in their own history. They remembered how treaties had been broken before, and how peace had always been temporary. Behind their polite words, they watched the galaxy with sharp eyes. And when alien fleets began to gather near human space, whispers grew in secret corners. In the dark reaches beyond Jupiter, something moved in silence. A station hidden inside an asteroid hummed with power. Engineers worked without rest, their voices low, their eyes burning with determination. They did not call it a ship at first. They called it a project, a dream, a warning. The Council would have called it a crime. The humans gave it a name in whispers only Leviathan. Most humans never knew what was being built. Colonists on Mars thought the strange shipments of metal and plasma were for mining rigs. Families on Europa believed the massive engines were for deep space transports. Even some government officials on Earth were kept in the dark. Only a circle of generals, scientists, and admirals knew the truth. Humanity was building what no race had dared to build since the Great Burning Wars, the ultimate warship. In the council chambers, alien voices argued day after day. Reports had reached them, rumors of unusual construction near human space. Fleet captain from the Rhylathi claimed to have seen something vast drifting near the asteroid belts. His words were laughed at, then written down with unease. The Keth Dominion's spies whispered of resources vanishing in secret. The Vareni merchants noticed strange purchases, neutron plating, singularity coils, too large for normal ships. Fear began to stir. The Council sent an envoy to Earth, cloaked in ceremony, but heavy with warning. They reminded humanity of the treaty. They spoke of balance and peace. They said no species was above the law. The human diplomats listened calmly. They smiled, they nodded, they promised nothing. And when the envoy left, work continued in silence, deeper and faster than before. The engineers felt the weight of their task. Some whispered that they were making a mistake, that the galaxy would unite against them. But most stayed, driven by something greater. Humanity had always built weapons not only to destroy but to survive. Survival was never guaranteed. Months turned into years. Slowly, piece by piece, the shape of something colossal began to rise from the asteroid station. It was larger than any dreadnought, longer than any carrier. Its armor glimmered with alloys that no other species had ever forged. Its core pulsed with a reactor that could power a city for centuries. And its main weapon, no one dared to describe. Aloud, it was not just a warship. It was a message carved in steel and fire. In distant space, alien scouts grew restless. They tried to scan human regions, but their probes vanished. They tried to send spies, but none returned. Each report brought more fear to the council chambers. The law was cleareth. One species broke the treaty. All others must rise together to destroy it. Yet none were brave enough to attack too soon. What if the rumors were false? What if it truly existed? Back on Earth, in a bunker beneath the oceans, the highest human leaders met in silence. They knew discovery was close. The galaxy was watching. But they also knew what was coming. Empires around them had been arming fleets, probing borders, waiting for weakness. The humans were not weak. They were patient. And now, patience had ended. One night, far from Earth, a scout ship from the Sharu Collective drifted near Jupiter. Its sensors picked up something vast moving through the clouds. At first the crew thought it was a shadow, a trick of the storms, but then the shadow moved with purpose. Metal glinted under lightning. The ship's captain whispered a word in terror. Oh, he had never heard it before. Leviathan. The scout's signal was cut before the council could receive full data. Only fragments reached them, readings of impossible mass, energy surges. Beyond any dreadnought, a hole larger than a city. The chamber fell into silence. No one spoke. No one wanted to admit the truth. The humans had broken the forbidden rule, and somewhere deep in space, a colossal reactor came alive with a heartbeat that echoed like thunder across the void. Humanity had done the unthinkable. It had built the ship the galaxy feared most. The treaty was broken. The balance was gone. And the warship waited. The galaxy did not sleep after the Sharu scouts' fragments reached the council. The recordings were broken, the images blurred, but the weight of what they showed was undeniable. Something enormous was rising in human space, something that should not exist. The law was clear. The treaty had been broken. But the council did not rush to act. Fear held their voices, and suspicion clouded their judgment. In the chamber, hundreds of alien representatives gathered. Some shouted that humanity must be punished at once. Others urged caution, claiming the humans might be bluffing. "No one can hide such a construction from us," hissed the Varani speaker, though his hands trembled. The Rylathi general slammed, a clawed fist on the table demanding fleets be assembled before it was too late. And yet, for every voice of anger, there was a voice of doubt. If the rumors were true, rushing in blind would mean destruction. The word spread across the stars faster than any fleet could travel. In spaceports and colonies, whispers grew. They called it the Titan. They said it was larger than moons, armed, with weapons that could burn through entire armadas. Merchants carried the stories between systems, changing them with every retelling. Some said the Titan was already finished, hidden behind cloaking fields. Others claimed it could bend space, itself, moving faster than light without gates. Fear traveled quicker than truth. The alien races sent spies, each hoping to uncover proof without alerting humanity. The Keth Dominion dispatched stealth drones, but they were destroyed before reaching the asteroid belts. The Sar Coalition sent mercenaries to bribe human dock workers, but none returned. A Drellic fleet captain tried to push his ship closer to Jupiter only to vanish without distress calls. Every attempt to pierce the veil around human space ended in silence. Meanwhile, humanity watched calmly. They knew the eyes of the galaxy were upon them. In hidden bases, admirals monitored intercepted transmissions. They heard the panic in alien voices, the uncertainty in their reports. Some laughed, some frowned, but none doubted what was coming. The Leviathan was no longer just a project. It was nearly ready. Among the engineers, tension grew sharper. They had worked in secret for years, but now rumors of their work were everywhere. A single mistake, a single leak, and the galaxy would strike before the ship was finished. Nights stretched into endless work shifts. Sparks from welding torches lit the shadows of the vast machine. The whole groaned like a sleeping beast, and every worker knew they were part of history's most dangerous secret. In the council chamber, debates turned into threats. The Rylathi demanded a joint fleet to encircle Earth. The Varani warned that an attack might provoke war on a scale unseen for millennia. The Keth Dominion insisted humans should be forced to dismantle the ship under supervision. But none of them truly knew how close the project was to completion. Then came the signal. A lone Varani scout ship sent out a transmission before it was destroyed. The data was fragmented, but clear enough. A massive silhouette hidden among asteroids. Heat signatures the size of cities. Power levels that shook the scanners until they failed. The message ended with static, and then silence. But the image of that shadow, dark against the stars, was enough. The Titan was no longer rumor. It was real. Fear spread deeper now, but so did something else. Desperation. The council called for emergency fleets to be assembled, not for war yet, but for readiness. Across the galaxy, shipyards blazed with activity. Dreadnoughts, carriers, and cruisers were pulled from dry dock, crews trained without rest, fuel lines burned day and night. The galaxy had lived under the Treaties' safety for too long. Now the nightmare was alive again. Back in the hidden station, humanity watched the panic with cold calculation. The admirals knew the Council would act soon. It would not wait forever. The Leviathan was close to awakening, but not complete. Every hour mattered. The workers bled their strength into the ship, their hands trembling with exhaustion, their voices hoarse from shouting across the colossal scaffolds. Yet they pressed on because they knew. If they failed, Earth would be at the mercy of every empire. The galaxy held its breath. The rumors of a Titan were no longer whispers in dark corridors. They were spoken aloud in every chamber, on every ship, in every colony. Parents hushed their children with the stories. Soldiers sharpened their blades with fear in their eyes. The Council's fleets gathered like storm clouds at the edge of human space. And deep in the void, behind walls of secrecy and silence, a reactor stirred. The Leviathan's heart beat stronger with each passing day. It was not ready to reveal itself, not yet. But the galaxy could feel its shadow pressing down on them all. The forbidden law had been broken, and the Titan was coming. The Council could no longer pretend the danger was only rumor. Fleets were gathering near the borders of human space. Dozens of species who had once argued now stood united by fear. The law had been broken, and the law demanded punishment. Still, no one dared to launch the first strike. The fragments of data showed a shadow too large, energy levels too high. If humanity had truly finished building a forbidden warship, then any fleet sent too quickly could be destroyed. That fear kept the Council restless, and it gave humanity precious time. On Earth, the sky seemed peaceful. Children played cities, shone with lights, and colonies sent broadcasts about crops, trade, and festivals. But beneath the calm, leaders met in silence. In bunkers hidden under oceans, in stations buried deep within the moon, in secret chambers across Mars, they gathered. The alien envoys had given their warning. Stop now, dismantle the project, or face the united galaxy. Humanity's leaders listened and said nothing. Their choice had already been made. Among the people, whispers began to spread. Merchants spoke of fleets gathering near the borders. Traders returning from alien worlds spoke of Council threats. Soldiers were recalled to their posts, fleets quietly mobilized. Yet still, no one outside the highest circles knew the full truth. They did not know what was waiting beyond Jupiter. In the storms of a gas giant where no spy dared to linger too long, the Leviathan was almost complete. Its hull stretched across kilometers, a black shape that seemed to swallow the stars. Its weapons were sealed, its engines still cooling, but its power was undeniable. Engineers walked across bridges suspended over endless steel, their boots echoing in the silence of the beast. They whispered that even if the ship never fired a weapon, its size alone would terrify the galaxy. But fear also lived within the project itself. Some scientists questioned if humanity had gone too far. What if they attacked before we're ready? Whispered one. What if this ship becomes our doom instead of our salvation? Others answered with quiet determination. The galaxy was waiting to strike. They only needed an excuse. At least now, we will not be helpless. While humanity built, the shadows of alien fleets grew closer. Trolls appeared along the borders of human colonies. Distant outposts reported strange sensor readings. Merchant convoys vanished, claimed by pirates who were never caught. Humanity knew it was not pirates. The Council was testing, probing, waiting for the moment to push harder. On Mars, soldiers stood in silence as orders were given. Defense batteries were powered, shields raised, orbital cannons aligned. The moon deep bunkers opened for the first time in decades, revealing weapons hidden since the earliest days of space expansion. Across Earth's skies, formations of ships rose into orbit, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. The galaxy thought humans were only preparing defense. They did not know how much more had already been done. In the Council chambers, tempers rose. If we wait longer, the Titan will be complete, growled the Rylothi general. They will. Unleash it upon us. The Varani speaker trembled as he replied, "Or perhaps it is already complete. Perhaps we are already too late." Some voices urged diplomacy. "Send another envoy," they argued. "Perhaps the humans will listen." Others laughed bitterly. "You think humans will stop now? You think they will dismantle their creation? After coming this far, no, they are hiding something, and we are fools if we wait." Finally, the council voted. A blockade would be formed. No ship would be allowed in or out of human space. Trade lines would be cut, colonies isolated. If the humans resisted, then war would follow. It was not yet an attack, but it was a tightening noose. And so fleets moved. Hundreds of alien warships slipped into the dark, surrounding the edges of human territory. From distant stars, they formed a ring of steel. Stations were established, patrols spread out, and signals were broadcast by the order of the Galactic Council. Humanity is under blockade until compliance with treaty law is verified. On Earth, the message was received in silence. Leaders gathered once more in the deep bunker. Some argued to negotiate, at least to buy time. But most simply looked at the reports of fleets gathering beyond their borders, and then at the hidden transmissions from Jupiter. The Leviathan's systems were almost ready. For the first time, the ship stirred. Power flowed through its veins, glowing like rivers of fire under its armor. Its engines hummed, a low growl felt more than heard. Within its control rooms, officers stood at their stations, testing systems, checking weapons, running silent drills. They did not speak of fear. They spoke only of readiness. And as the alien fleets drew tighter around Earth's colonies, humanity prepared its answer. They would not bend. They would not dismantle the Leviathan. They had built it for this very moment. One night, above Earth's orbit, a group of colonists looked up and saw streaks of light cutting across the sky, alien patrols moving closer. To them, it was only strange, almost beautiful. They did not know what it meant. But those who watched from the bunkers, from the shipyards, from the silent halls of the Leviathan, knew the truth. The shadows of fleets were falling across Earth. The blockade had begun. And in the storms of Jupiter, the forbidden warship was awakening. The blockade tightened like a steel chain. Alien fleets spread across the edge of human space, their patrols endless, their guns always pointed inward. Colonies felt the pressure first. Supply ships were turned back, traders were searched, and families on distant worlds began to fear starvation. The Council believed the blockade would force humanity to bend, to admit their crime and dismantle their forbidden project. But humanity stayed silent. For weeks, the fleets waited, circling like predators. They saw nothing but silence from Earth. No great ship appeared. No proof was offered. Some alien captains began to think the humans were bluffing. Perhaps the so-called Titan was only rumor. Perhaps the fragments from the scouts had been false or exaggerated. Whispers of doubt spread through the ranks. Soldiers grew restless, and commanders demanded answers. Then, one cold night above Jupiter, the silence ended. A Sharu frigate was assigned to patrol the gas giant. It was a routine circle the planet, scan the storms, report any strange readings. The crew expected nothing. They had scanned the region dozens of times, finding only lightning, storms, and endless clouds. But as their ship slipped into orbit, the sensors screamed. At first, the crew thought it was a malfunction. The readings were impossible mass, far greater than any dreadnought, power surges like collapsing stars. The captain ordered a full sweep, and then they saw it. Lightning ripped through Jupiter's storm bands, and for a heartbeat the shadows shifted. There, hidden in the swirling clouds, was something vast, a shape so massive it seemed like a mountain drifting through the sky. Its armor caught the lightning, gleaming black against the storm. It was no natural object. It was metal. It was alive. The frigate's crew froze in silence. Some whispered prayers, others simply stared. None had ever seen a ship so large. It dwarfed anything they had imagined. The captain knew at once what it was. The humans had built the forbidden warship, and now it had awakened. The frigate tried to retreat, but it was already too late. The Leviathan moved. Slowly, With the weight of a world, it rose out of the storm. Each engine lit like a burning sun, casting light through the darkness of Jupiter's clouds. The frigate's sensors shattered under the pressure. The crew sent a desperate transmission, broadcasting the warning to every ship in range. Their last sight before destruction was the Leviathan's weapon charging. A single cannon, so vast it seemed to stretch across the stars, glowed with impossible light, and then silence. The frigate was gone. The signal spread across the blockade within minutes. Fleets rushed to their stations, commanders shouted orders, and panic rippled through the ranks. The image of the Leviathan's shadow, rising from Jupiter's storms, appeared on every screen. Humanity had built what the treaty forbade. The Council demanded immediate attack. "Destroy it now, before it grows stronger," cried the Rylothy general. "If we wait, we are finished." Others hesitated. The Sharu frigate had not even scratched the beast before it was erased. To face such a monster head-on was suicide, yet to do nothing was worse. The treaty meant nothing if humanity could break it without punishment. While they argued, the Leviathan continued to rise. Slowly it emerged from the storms, each section of its colossal hull revealed like the body of some ancient god. Its armor gleamed with alloys never seen before, layered thick enough to shrug off any known weapon. Its engines pulsed with unnatural power. Its main cannon still glowed, proof of the destruction it could unleash again. From Earth, millions watched in awe as transmissions reached their screens. They saw their ship, their secret, revealed to the galaxy. To them it was not terror, it was pride. Humanity had built the ultimate warship. Against the united fleets of the Council, they were no longer helpless. They had a shield, a sword, a giant that could not be ignored. In the alien fleets, terror spread.
Ow!
Crews whispered about fleeing, about deserting before the first shot was fired. Commanders struggled to hold their soldiers together. No one had expected the humans to go this far. No one had believed they would dare. And yet here it was the Titan that should never exist. Then the Leviathan made its first move. It did not attack a colony or a fleet. It did not fire on Earth's enemies directly. Instead, it targeted the blockade itself. In the distance, a formation of alien cruisers held position near the asteroid belt. The Leviathan's cannon lit once more. Observers reported no sound, no warning. Only a blinding flash of light and then silence. The cruisers were gone, erased in an instant, leaving nothing but drifting dust. Entire crews vanished before they knew they were under attack. The message was clear: humanity would not be caged. The Council fleets reeled back in shock. Some retreated, others held their ground, but none advanced. The Leviathan loomed over Jupiter like a shadow of death, daring them to move closer. The forbidden rule was broken. The galaxy had seen the truth with its own eyes. The Titan had revealed itself, and the first glimpse was enough to change everything. The galaxy had seen the unthinkable. The Leviathan's first strike echoed like thunder across every channel. A single shot had erased an entire formation of cruisers. There were no survivors, no wreckage worth salvaging, only silence where once a fleet had stood. The galaxy had lived under the Treaties' protection for centuries, but in a single moment, that shield was shattered. Humanity had shown that the forbidden rule was broken, and there was no going back. In the Council chamber, fear hung heavier than the air. Alien leaders shouted over one another, their voices filled with panic. The Rylothy general demanded immediate war. "You must strike with everything we have before the humans unleash it again," he roared, claws scraping the table. The Varani speaker trembled, warning that such a move would only lead to more destruction. If a single weapon can erase entire fleets, how many of us will be left if we rush in blind? Others whispered darker fears. How had humanity built such a weapon so quickly? How had they gathered the resources in secret? Some suggested they had discovered lost technology from the burning wars, weapons forbidden even in memory. Others feared something even worse, that the humans had not worked alone, that perhaps another ancient power had returned and aided them. Every theory only deepened the council's unease. None could explain the truth. Across the stars, the Leviathan's image spread faster than light. Colonists on distant worlds stared at the transmission in silence, their faces pale. Merchants whispered that the age of treaties was over. Soldiers, even those sworn to the council, admitted quietly that they had never seen such power. Fear spread not only through the leaders, but through the hearts of every race. Humanity, however, remained calm. In hidden bunkers and secret bases, their admirals watched the council's panic with cold eyes. They had expected this reaction. They had known the galaxy would unite in fear. They had not expected was how deep that fear would cut. Already some empires hesitated, uncertain if they dared to throw their fleets against the Titan. The Leviathan had not only broken the lid, had broken unity in the council chamber. Decisions were demanded. Armadas were already being assembled. Thousands of ships drawn from every empire, but commanders were nervous, reluctant to move without certainty. 100 species debated, each voice drowning the other. Some called for full assault, others for negotiation, and a few whispered of retreat. For the first time in centuries, the council was divided. And then came the most chilling report of all. Spies had risked everything to reach the asteroid. Shipyards where the Leviathan had been born. Their message arrived in fragments, torn by interference, but the meaning was clear. The Leviathan was not Earth's only project. Blueprints were found. Construction bays were still active. Another shape was rising in the darkness. Humanity was not building one forbidden ship, they were building a fleet. The chamber fell into silence. Even the loudest voices faltered. If the humans could build more than one Titan, then no fleet, no empire, no alliance could stop them. The treaty had not only been broken, it had been shattered beyond repair. Panic turned to desperation. The Rhylothi demanded that every empire prepare their oldest weapons. Weapons hidden since the Burning Wars, black hole mines, stellar disruptors, all outlawed. But against the Leviathan, the treaty meant nothing. If humanity will not honor the law, the general snarled, then we must abandon it too. Only forbidden fire can fight forbidden fire, Varani objected, trembling. If we awaken those weapons, then the galaxy itself may not survive. Do you not remember why the treaties were written? Do you not remember the billions who burned? Fear drowned reason. The council voted, and the decision was made. If humanity unleashed their titans, the galaxy would answer with weapons that had not been seen in millennia. The old fire would burn again. Far from the council, the Leviathan drifted in silence near Jupiter. Its cannon cooled, its engines glowed. Softly, but its presence was louder than any signal. It did not move to attack again, simply waited, as though daring the fleets to come closer. Its shadow stretched across the stars, and in that shadow, the galaxy trembled. On Earth, the people began to whisper with pride. They had seen their warship destroy an alien fleet. For the first time in generations, they did not feel small beneath the stars. They felt strong. They felt protected. Yet among their leaders, the mood was heavier. They knew what was coming. Council would not surrender. It would return with everything they had. The war was no longer about one ship. It was about fear. Humanity had built the impossible, and now the galaxy would burn to stop them. The Council's fear had become something far worse. Desperation and desperation always led to war. The Council's fleets moved at last. They had argued, hesitated, and feared, but fear had finally pushed them into war. From every corner of the galaxy, ships gathered. Dreadnoughts, carriers, cruisers, swarms of fighters more than had been assembled in centuries. Entire sectors were emptied of defenses just to form the armada. To the Council, it was the only way. To hesitate longer would mean giving humanity time to complete not one Titan, but many. The fleets burned through the stars. Engines blazing, their banners united under one command. They called it the Shield Armada, a force of thousands of ships, meant to crush Earth and erase the Leviathan. The message was sent to all. Humanity had violated the treaty, and now they would be punished. But humanity was waiting. The blockade had failed to break them. Instead, it had given them time. While the Council prepared its armada, Earth had finished the final systems of the Leviathan. The warship now stood fully alive, its reactors burning like suns, its weapons primed. Even as the alien fleets advanced, engineers whispered in awe as the ship's hull pulsed with energy, its power beyond anything they had dreamed. The Leviathan was ready for war. When the first Council fleets reached human space, the sky erupted with fire. Squadrons of alien cruisers poured into the asteroid belt only to find hidden human defenses waiting. Outposts, long thought abandoned, revealed cannons that tore through their ranks. Mines detonated, ripping ships apart in flashes of light. Human destroyers darted from the shadows, striking before vanishing again. The aliens pushed forward, but each step was costly. They expected a desperate fight, not a coordinated defense. And then the Leviathan moved. From the storms of Jupiter, the Titan rose once more. This time, it did not hide. Its engines roared like thunder, and its colossal shadow fell across the battlefield. Alien crews froze at the sight, their courage trembling. The Leviathan's main cannon lit with power, brighter than the suns around it. A single beam fired, and a Council carrier 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons, was erased in a heartbeat. Thousands of lives vanished in silence. The fleets panicked, but their commanders shouted for order. They had known this would happen. They had known the Leviathan would strike. And so they unleashed their plan. From the rear lines, ships began to deploy ancient weapons, relics hidden since the burning wars. Black hole mines were launched, collapsing space and dragging human ships into their gravity wells. Stellar disruptors fired beams that tore at space itself, ripping through shields and armor alike. The Council had abandoned the treaty. Humanity would use forbidden fire, then so would they. The battlefield turned into chaos. Human cruisers disintegrated under disruptor fire. Colonies shook as gravitational storms ripped through the void, but the Leviathan endured. Its shields bent, but did not break. Its armor cracked, but did not fall. And with each counterstrike, alien ships burned. Yet, humanity was not alone. As the Leviathan fought, other ships emerged from the shadows. Prototypes, smaller than the Titan, but still beyond treaty limits, revealed themselves. They carried weapons the galaxy had never seen, each built in secret alongside the Leviathan. They were not as large, not as terrifying, but together they struck with precision, carving through enemy lines. The Council fleet staggered, thousands of ships against hundreds, yet the humans fought with ferocity the galaxy had never known. Where aliens fought with caution, humans fought with fury. Every loss only hardened their will. Every strike only sharpened their rage. The Leviathan broke their formations, tearing holes in their lines that human fleets poured through. Destroyers swarmed like wolves, dreadnoughts clashed with brutal fire, and fighters filled the void like swarms of steel bees. The sky above Earth became a storm of light and fire. A battle so vast that entire planets could see it burning. Still, the Council pressed forward. They had more ships, more soldiers, more resources. For every fleet shattered, another advanced. Humanity was fierce, but the galaxy was vast. Slowly, painfully, the humans began to feel the weight of numbers pressing against them. In the command chamber of the Leviathan, Admiral Kalen stood at the heart of the storm. His eyes burned as reports came in victories, losses, sacrifices. The Council wanted Earth broken. But he knew they would never stop at Earth. If humanity fell here, their species would be erased. There was no choice. Leviathan must hold. The Titan turned its cannon again. Another beam fired, carving through dozens of enemy ships. The battlefield shook. Alien crews screamed. But even as they died, more came. The war was no longer a battle of ships. It was a test of will, and humanity's will was stronger than ever. The Leviathan pressed forward, leading the charge, its shadow spreading across the Council fleets. Fire rained across the stars. Wreckage drifted in the void. And still the humans fought. The galaxy had unleashed its fury. Humanity had answered with steel. The war had begun, and the fire would not stop. The galaxy's war burned hotter than anyone had feared. Planets shook, colonies fell, fleets vanished into fire. The Council had promised that their armada would crush humanity quickly. But weeks into the war, the truth was undeniable. Humanity would not break. The Leviathan still roamed the void, tearing through fleets that should have outnumbered and outmatched it. Human warships, though fewer, struck with savage coordination. Even when outnumbered 5-1, they bled the enemy before falling. Reports spread of entire Council fleets destroyed, of admirals fleeing their posts, of humans pushing back into alien space. Fear spread through the Council chambers. The war was costing more than they imagined. Their fleets were bleeding. Worst of all, the people of the galaxy had begun whispering, not whispers of human weakness, but of human wrath. The elders had always told them that Earth was fragile, that humans were reckless, primitive, unstable. Yet now, the galaxy saw a different truth. Humans were predators who refused to die, and so the Council made a choice. The Treaty of Fire, signed after the Burning Wars, had been meant to bind every species. It had banned weapons that scarred stars, technologies that could erase entire worlds, devices that bent reality itself. But the Leviathan was itself a violation. Yet the Council declared that humanity had broken the treaty first. Now, all limits were gone. The last treaty burned in secret vaults across the galaxy. Ancient arsenals were unlocked. Weapons built in forgotten wars, weapons even their builders had feared to use, were brought into the light again. The first strike came at Proxima Station. The Council fleet unleashed a singularity Bama weapon banned for 10,000 years. In a flash, the station and the colony around it were swallowed. The system's star itself dimmed, its gravity twisted.
Ow.
Millions of humans were erased in silence. The Council called it justice, but humanity called it war without chains. The Leviathan answered with its own forbidden fire. It unleashed a new weapon, never before revealed, a fracture cannon. Its beam did not burn or explode. Instead, it tore the very fabric of space, splitting ships apart as if they had been made of glass. An entire alien fleet shattered in moments, their wreckage scattering into the void like dust. The galaxy recoiled. The war had gone beyond anything they had ever feared. Planets burned. Moons shattered. In one sector, the Council detonated a chain of antimatter storms, sterilizing every orbit to prevent humans from advancing. In another, humanity retaliated with swarm torpedoes, self-replicating machines that consumed fleets like locusts. Every battle broke another rule, every strike erased another limit. The war was no longer about victory. It was about survival. On Earth, the skies were dark with defense grids, railguns, and fleets waiting for the next wave. Civilians had become soldiers. Industries had become forges of war. Humanity had unified in a way the Council had never believed possible. Nations that once fought each other now stood side by side. They had one purpose: survival of the species. In the Council halls, fear turned to desperation. Entire member species begged to stop. They had lost too much, worlds reduced to ash, fleets turned to wreckage. But the elder races, the ones who had once ruled the burning wars, refused to back down. They remembered what had been hidden for ages. They remembered the whispers of why humans had been contained in the first place. Not because they were weak, but because they were too strong. The galaxy had feared humanity since the beginning. The treaty had never been about peace. It had been about chains. Those chains were now broken. On the front lines, the Leviathan became more than a ship. To humans, it was a shield. To aliens, it was a shadow. Wherever it appeared, fleets crumbled, courage collapsed. But still, the Council hurled more and more ships against it, believing that sheer numbers could wear it down. One battle, above the twin stars of Sereth, changed everything. The Council deployed a stellar Lancer weapon designed to pierce a sun itself. They fired it not at the Leviathan, but at the star, hoping to consume the battlefield in fire. The star cracked. Its outer layers collapsed. The system ignited into chaos. Entire fleets were swallowed in firestorms. And yet, through the collapsing blaze, the Leviathan emerged, its armor scorched, its shields flickering, but still alive. Alien crews broke. At the sight, if even a dying star could not kill the Titan, what could? The Council realized the truth too late. Every weapon they unleashed only hardened humanity's resolve. Every strike only justified Earth's fury. The war had become unstoppable. The last treaty had burned, and with it, the galaxy's final restraint. The Leviathan sent one final transmission. Carried across all open channels, translated into every tongue. You thought Earth was weak? You thought we would break? Now you will learn what it means to fight a species that refuses to die. The galaxy shuddered, and the war moved toward its final reckoning. The galaxy was no longer a map of light, it was a graveyard. Worlds once bright with life now hung as blackened husks. Fleets that once stretched across star systems lay shattered, drifting in silence. Every law, every treaty, every restraint had burned away. What remained was war in its purest form, war without limits, and at the center of it all stood the Leviathan. The Titan ship had become more than a weapon. To humanity, it was a symbol of survival, a promise that no matter how many fleets came, no matter how many stars burned, Earth would endure. To the galaxy, it was terror given form in endless shadow, a beast that even the oldest races could not kill. The Council, broken and desperate, gathered what was left of its armadas. They forged one final fleet, 10,000 warships drawn. From 100 species armed with the last of their forbidden weapons. Their admirals called it the final convergence. If humanity could not be crushed here, then the galaxy would belong to them forever. The battlefield was chosen at the Black. Rift, a scar of space where gravity twisted and stars burned dim. A place where no side could retreat, no fleet could hide. When the human scouts saw it, they sent one word back to Earth. They are coming. And humanity answered. From Earth, Mars, Titan, Proxima, from every surviving colony, the fleets rose. Thousands of ships, each one scarred but unbroken, gathered behind the Leviathan. Some were barely warships, civilian craft turned into weapons. Cargo vessels carrying railguns bolted to their hulls. It didn't matter. Humanity would not bow. As both armadas descended into the rift, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The Council fleet stretched like a wall of steel and fire, 10,000 strong. At its center, ancient flagships of the elder-raced vessels that had ruled wars long before humanity had risen from the mud of Earth. Facing them, humanity's fleet was smaller, a thin line against the storm. But at its heart, the Leviathan loomed, its colossal frame blotting out the stars. The Cums fell silent. No negotiations. No last words. It's only war. The first strike came as a storm of plasma and railfire. The void lit with detonations. Human ships vanished in bursts of flame. Council warships tore apart under precise counterstrikes. The battle was not chaos, it was slaughter on both sides. The Council unleashed their ancient weapons, gravity imploders that folded ships into dust, viral cannons that infected hulls like a disease, nova bombs that burned entire fleets in one flash. But humanity answered with fury. Swarm torpedoes tore through cruisers, fracture cannons ripped dreadnoughts apart, railguns punched holes clean through alien flagships. Every death only drove the humans harder, every loss only sharpened their rage. And then the Leviathan moved. Its engines roared, warping the void around it. Shields flared as fire poured against its hull, but it did not slow. Like a mountain tearing through a storm, the Titan plowed into the heart of the Council's fleet. Its guns spoke in thunder. Its fracture cannons split entire battle lines. Its drones swarmed, carving through smaller ships like knives through glass. Admirals screamed for retreat, but there was nowhere left to run. The Council had thrown everything they had into this. One final strike. and now humanity tore it apart. Above the rift, a council flagship, the Eternal Crown, leashed the galaxy's last weapon, a starbreaker, designed to ignite an entire system into collapse. If it fired, the battle would end in fire for both sides. The Leviathan saw it, and without hesitation, it drove forward, straight into the path of the weapon. The Titan collided with the Eternal Crown in a storm of fire and metal. Its cannons ripped the Elder flagship open, its claws of steel tearing through armor thicker than mountains. The Starbreaker began to charge its core, burning hotter. The Leviathan's voice cut across every channel, translated into every tongue. If we fall with you. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not break. Then the Leviathan's core ignited. The Titan unleashed all of its remaining power in one impossible strike. A fracture wave tore outward, not at ships, but at the weapon itself. The Starbreaker's core collapsed inward and then exploded. The blast consumed the Eternal Crown, then spread through the fleet around it. Ships vanished in waves of fire. The Council's Grand Armada was torn apart, its elder vessels shattered, its admirals silenced forever. The Leviathan burned, its armor split, its shields gone, its frame breaking under the force. But it did not fall alone. It dragged the enemy with it into the fire. When the light faded, the rift was silent. The Council fleet was gone, reduced to wreckage. Humanity's fleet, though broken, still stood. Scarred ships drifted together, battered but alive. And in the center of the wreckage, the Leviathan's remains glowed faintly, half destroyed but unyielding. The war was over. The Council was broken. The galaxy had no choice but to kneel. And in that silence, one truth spread across every surviving world, every species, every tongue. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity was no longer contained. The galaxy had thought to chain them, to crush them, to erase them. But instead, the stars had been remade in their image. The reckoning was complete, and the galaxy would never forget the name Earth.